Hello everyone, I hope you're all doing very well. 1 week from tomorrow, Brooke and I will be on our way to Georgia and we'll be on trail in just over a week. Words cannot even express how excited we are to get out there and just start doing the thing. In the meantime, I have some gear to show you guys. I know it's been a couple weeks since Brooke's gear video came out, and I've been kind of juggling work and getting stuff out of the house and this all into one, so I apologize for it taking a little bit of time, but this is it. Here we are. Right now I am on a little test hike just to see how everything feels in the pack, make sure everything fits very easily. So far so good. I'm very happy with how everything feels, and yeah, the weather's perfect. I honestly wish we were on trail right now, but so yeah, when I get home, I'm gonna drag everything out of this pack, put some pictures up for you guys, and talk about what I'm carrying and what I like about some of the stuff. So as always, Brooke and I are so happy you're all watching our channel, and as always, if you guys have any questions, leave them in the comments below and one of us will answer them as soon as we can. We'll see you next week in Georgia. All right, everyone, I'm going to kick this gear video off with my big three that I'll be taking on this year's Appalachian Trail thru hike. For my pack, I will be using the Hyperlite Southwest 3400. This has honestly been one of my favorite pieces of gear over the past year. It's been super durable for me, it's waterproof and has kept my gear nice and dry, and it's honestly one of the most comfy packs that I've ever used. The extra space compared to the more common Southwest 2400 will be very nice to have, just because I'm going to have more clothes than normal to stay really warm. On the right is my brand new Enlightened Equipment Convert 10-degree quilt. I actually haven't tested this out yet, which I really wouldn't recommend if you're planning a future thru hike for yourself. It's always good to test out your gear before the big hike and just make sure that it works for you. Brooke has the exact same bag and she's loved it, so I'm honestly not too concerned about it going into our hike, especially since I'm a warmer sleeper. One really cool feature that this bag has is, since Brooke and I have the same one, we can actually unzip them and connect them into one giant quilt, and we're really excited to try out this feature, especially on those really cold nights where the extra body heat will be really nice. And to finish off the big three, Brooke and I will be sharing the Nemo Hornet 2-person tent. I've been a Nemo tent user since 2015 and have had zero issues whatsoever. The tents are very reliable and durable, and Brooke and I expect the same out of this one. We've gotten to stay in it a few times this past summer, and it's been perfect for us. Alrighty, moving on to my sleep system. Starting out with a sleeping pad, that is a Thermarest Neo Air, which, as many of you know, probably every thru hiker uses. It's been perfect for me. It's gotten a couple holes in the past year or so, but I've been able to patch them up, and it's just as good as new. Next is an LL Bean 850 down jacket. I included this in the sleep system section because I do intend to use it just for sleeping and around camp. There may be a few occasions where it's extremely cold, and I do choose to hike in it some. Next is just a normal thick pair of wool socks. And then on the top right is a brand new pair of custom Enlightened Equipment down booties. Now, I've never actually used down booties before, but seeing how we're starting the AT so early in the year, I think that's going to be a pretty amazing gear item, just to keep the feet extra warm and toasty. On the bottom there is my thermal base layers for sleeping. I went pretty cheap on my sleeping thermals. I probably spent maybe $20 between the two, but they're super warm, and I'm very excited about finding such good deals on those. And last but not least, there on the bottom right, that is a sleeping bag liner that is supposed to add about 10 degrees of warmth, and having a new sleeping bag. I may not need it, but I'm going to at least start with it, and I'll probably end up sending it home after about a month. Next up is clothes, starting off with my hiking socks. Now, normally on through hikes, I go with 2 pairs of hiking socks, but since it's the AT and it's early in the season, my feet are obviously going to be wet quite a bit, so I'm going to start off with 3 pairs. One of my pairs will be Darn Tough, which I've used for the past 7 years now, and the other 2 pairs will be Farm to Feet, which Brooke showed me that company, and I'm really excited to try them out. For hiking thermals, I will be going with Terramar tops and bottoms. They are not quite as warm as my sleeping pair, but are still a good warm base layer for those really cold hiking days. Next is just a pair of athletic hiking shirt and shorts. I go with a Vapor Apparel long sleeve shirt and just a normal pair of gym shorts. I keep it pretty simple when it comes to the clothes I hike in. And on the far right there is some of my warmer clothing. I have a Melanzana fleece hoodie, and I'm a big fan of their hoodies. They make high quality warm gear, and yeah, I won't go anywhere without that jacket. And on the bottom right there is something I'm trying out this year for the first time, and I believe the brand name is Outdoor Ventures, and they are fleece-lined waterproof pants. So this could technically be classified as part of my rain gear setup, which you'll see a little later on, but I bought these mainly for snow that we may encounter, especially in the Smokies, and just any days where it's really cold, where my thermals and shorts won't be enough. So this is a few more things that kind of qualifies under my clothing section. I just didn't want to put too many things in one picture so you can see things easier. To start here, I have a pair of Dirty Girl gaiters. Didn't used to be a big fan of gaiters, but theirs, you don't even notice you're wearing them. They keep dirt, rocks, sticks, and anything from entering your shoe, and I've been using them probably for the past 3 years now and love them. There on the top right is my PCT buff. I will use that mainly when it's cold, just keep it around my neck and pull it over my face if it's very, very cold. And for gloves, I'm leaning towards taking 2 pairs, which I know may sound crazy to some people. That first pair there on the left is much thinner. They're still pretty warm, but it allows me to wear gloves while, say setting up the tent or hanging a bear bag. Just anything where I'm using my hands, those are going to be the go-to ones. And then that pair of gloves there in the middle are very, 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 very warm and thick. But when I've tried them, it's definitely hard to grab anything and be useful. So I think I'm going to start with both pairs and see how that goes. And then last but not least, there on the right, definitely don't want to forget a beanie to keep my head warm. So up next is arguably some of the most important gear, especially for an Appalachian Trail through hike, and that is my rain gear. For my rain jacket, I use Frog Togs, which has become a pretty popular option. They're cheap, they're still ultra light, and in my opinion, they do just as well as some of the expensive name brand jackets. For the bottom half, I will be using a Enlightened Equipment rain wrap, basically a rain skirt. I haven't gotten to use it too much. Got to use it a little bit in 2020, and it seemed to do really well at keeping me dry. I've never been a big fan of rain pants just because I get too hot in them and they can be a pain to take on and off. And lastly, for rain, I will be carrying a Six Moon Designs umbrella. Originally bought that to protect myself from the sun in the desert, but I have gotten to use it a number of times for rain, and it's done a very, very, very good job. The outside of my arms still get a little wet, and like lower legs, especially if it's windy. but overall I'm very happy with it and excited to use it on the AT this year. On this slide you can see my shoes, micro spikes, and trekking poles. For shoes I use Hoka Challengers. Been a big fan of Hoka for the last few years. I started with Speed Goats, but they ended up switching a couple things, so I went over to the Challengers and have stuck with them ever since, and they are honestly probably the most comfortable shoe I've ever hiked in. To the right there is my Catula Micro Spikes. Kind of was 50-50 on whether to bring them or not, but Brooke and I both decided that, it's always good to have them just in case, and I'm sure we will run into plenty of ice and snow at some point. And for trekking poles, I'm trying something new this year. I've always been a Lecky user, but I am going with Hiker Hunger poles. Kind of a new company, just started by a young couple, and yeah, really excited to give them a try. I've heard really good things about them. This is my cooking and water setup. For my stove, I will be carrying a MSR Pocket Rocket, as well as an MSR pot. These have worked really well for me. The pot's pretty small, and you can even drink out of it. It's small enough, but it is large enough to hold a full meal. On the right there is a REI Nalgene bottle. I will be using that specifically for boiling water and taking a hot water bottle to bed with me on those really cold nights. That was a trick that I was taught by my dad growing up, and it's stuck with me ever since on really cold nights. For water filtration, I will be using a Sawyer Squeeze, which has been my go-to filter basically as long as I can remember now. They're super lightweight and reliable, and yeah, they'll last usually a whole hike if you back flush and take care of them, but I typically switch them out about halfway through a hike. And there in the middle and on the bottom is just a normal lighter and my long titanium spork. These will be the electronics I'm taking with me on the hike this year. For battery power, I have a Anker 26,000 battery pack with the speed charger. This thing will charge my phone probably 6 or 7 times. It really does well, especially for, in my case, vlogging. I have the speed charger for it because then if it is dead, it will charge up in about 4 hours. So that's very crucial when you're in town and you're trying not to stay too long. Over to the right is my phone charger, and then below that is my Black Diamond Spot headlamp. Just a normal Black Diamond headlamp. I've had no issues with that. I got my headphones there on the far right, and then on the bottom is my tripod, which I use quite a bit for YouTube. And then the little orange thing in the middle is something new I just got for this year, and that's a little digital thermometer from ThermoWorks. I'm a big weather nerd, and I love to know what the high and low temperatures are for the day, and this will do just that, so I'm very excited to see how that does. Last but certainly not least is my Toiletries kit. I'm not going to go into too much detail on this. I'm just going to go over the items pretty quickly. So I will be carrying a beard comb to get the knots out of my beard, which has become kind of an issue the last couple of years. I got a pocket knife, some small scissors, Neosporin for any minor scrapes and cuts. I like to carry Gold Bond powder, which is great for chafing. I have Leukotape, which has always worked best for me for blisters. A couple patch kits for my sleeping pad. I got my hiker wallet, which is made out of Dyneema, so it's waterproof. I have some wet wipes, toothbrush, toothpaste, and then there at the bottom is ibuprofen and vitamins. So that'll do it for all my gear for the 2022 AT thru hike. Hope you all enjoyed watching, and if you guys have any questions, just leave them in the comments below.